President Cyril Ramaphosa is considering taking the Section 89 panel report on legal review. Ramaphosa is currently consulting different stakeholders on the matter, and a decision will be announced soon. Now, let's get analysis. We're now joined via Zoom by political analyst Sandile Swana. Mr. Swana, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Of course, there's so much uncertainty around this particular matter. Let's now talk about President Ramaphosa's strategy, or maybe next move, which includes the possibility of taking the Section 89 panel report into review, as we've just heard. I mean, this was a damning report. What are the likely scenarios that will play out over the next few days, including, of course, the deliberations at Parliament? Will he resign or fight on?
What I would say at first is that the impeachment of a president in South Africa is a political process. So no matter which approach you take, it's going to eventually reduce itself to a vote by Parliament whether to remove this particular president or not. Secondly, to the extent that it is a political process, two presidents have been removed, Jacob Zuma being one, Thabo Mbeki being another one, without a panel report, without an impeachment committee. So Cyril Ramaphosa is in a very favorable position in the sense that the reasons the process has got some steps formalized. There are formalized steps of removing a president now. One of them being that when the complainants complained, they complained themselves had to go through the speaker, and the speaker had to check against the rules whether the complaints are in order before even setting up the panel. So the complaints were in order before setting up the panel, procedurally in order. Then the next thing, the panel had to look whether under any cases, is there any likelihood that these people are raising things that have got any type of weight at all? Because a politician can raise any wild thing out there. And they have found that indeed, at face value, there are things that would ordinarily constitute a proper inquiry for impeachment. But then the questions that can be raised about that have got to be raised in the inquiry itself. So anybody who's got objections, including President Cyril Ramaphosa, has got to raise his objections in the inquiry itself. That would be probably the most sensible thing to do. Otherwise, his own comrades tomorrow, when they meet on Sunday, they will have to be able to say, this is, in any event, this is a political decision. The ANC can make this political, and this, for instance, when we talk about divorce, saying what he's saying, the report, all of us knew that the report can only be written on the basis of documents that eventually reach the panel. So you can't write about anything that is not in front of you. And Ramaphosa failed to submit crucial evidence that is within his control. He did not submit it, and it was necessary for him to then to come around later on and say the report is flimsy when the information is sitting with you that is needed to make the report less flimsy. Then that is a problem.
Now, just ahead of, tomorrow's meeting, let's talk about yesterday's scenes, at that NEC emergency meeting, which, as you know, was abruptly adjourned. That brought many things into light about the ANC NEC, including that the party has zero appreciation of the importance of crisis management, just given that they had ample time to prepare and plan the outcomes of the panel report. But instead, what we saw yesterday was a party scrambling.
Yes, the party that is in power, which is the African National Congress, at this juncture, you can actually say that we are unfortunate as South Africans to be led. The state is controlled by people who are not educated in our civilization. Our civilization is unable at this stage to sustain itself. So when Thabo Mbeki raised the issue to say the possible findings, unfavorable findings that will come out of this panel need the ANC, especially the Secretary General and the top six, to prepare a detailed plan of what they will actually do in the event of a unfavorable finding. In other words, have a script, a detailed script, step by step, so that at every day after the findings, the nation knows that this is what you are doing, and everybody who is supposed to do something has got a book or a booklet that guides them of what must be done, and there is no uncertainty of where the ANC and the president of the ANC, as well as the president of the country, are going with this thing. Paul Mashatile did not do that job. Cyril Ramaphosa did not ask that job to be done. The chairman of the ANC did not ask that job. They ignored Thabo Mbeki, which shows you that the ANC is being run by amateurs who are far, far below the standard, the minimum standard required to run the South African civilization.
Then one wonders what will happen on that 55th National Conference that is due to take place in less than 2 weeks' time. I mean, one can describe what we saw just yesterday, you know, and of course there have been plenty examples in the past, just how much this factionalism has been spreading throughout the party like weed, almost to say, you know, and it's just spreading throughout the country because a lot of voices that were interviewed yesterday by our reporter Sandile Swana, who was on the ground, just talking about two different parties per se. What is likely to happen then, you know, come that national conference?
I think the first thing that you need to do to understand is that, yes, today here we are talking about the ANC. But when we talk about the ANC, we've also got to understand that since the Polokwane conference, they've been losing electoral support. And for the first time in November last year, in the municipal elections, it became clear that they are now a less than 50% party in South Africa, and they've now lost all the metros, and they're likely to lose Gauteng and lose the major urban areas of South Africa in the coming election. So it's a party that is becoming a party of ruralists, a party of villagers, a party that is not linking up with the developmental stage, the stage of development that we are in as a nation. So the people who are taking over, including these ones who are saying they are doing a renewal, including Cyril Ramaphosa himself, those people are going to rise to power as they always have in 2007 up until now, and sink the party even further and break the party into a number of factions. For instance, even this report we're discussing now, ATM, UDM, etc., all these are people, EFF, these are factions of the ANC, these are breakaway splinters of the ANC, and the splintering of the ANC at the end of this conference is going to continue. And this Phala report is going to enforce or bring about major divisions in the ANC, including moral divisions, because clearly the justice in the ANC is uneven-handed.
Sandile Swana, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. Sandile Swana is the political analyst there, just weighing in on developments with the ANC. Of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa is considering taking the Section 89 panel report on legal review, as we've heard earlier.